All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to MCubed. As always, I am Schmick, and of course, I am here with my good buddy Bradley, and we are here to talk some very important things going on within the DC universe. Of course, say hi, Bradley.
What's going on, my brother? Sorry, I'm silencing my telephone here, but yeah, man, I'm always happy to be back. Talking the comic book stuff that we do. It's my favorite thing that we discuss pretty much. It's
All right,
awesome.
of course, just we leisurely do it, so might as well just record it as always. But yeah, you want to just jump right into it?
Well, yeah, I mean, as we know, we have the announcement of a new, I mean, kind of like with comics, how you have like new runs or new I mean, what are they called? Just kind of like new publishing directives, like new eras. So, we've entered a new era just as DC went through, the new 52 and then Rebirth. I think that, the Snyderverse was a lot like new 52, and I think that this will be, I don't know, this will be kind of like this will be Rebirth and like post, kind of like post crisis, but I think
Sure.
mostly kind of like Rebirth, the Rebirth era in comics, although significantly downgraded in quality because the Rebirth era in comics, to me, I mean, this is when this started in 2016, so this is when, right after we saw BVS, and so I know for us, our hearts and our minds were like really in it in terms of these characters, and I know for me personally, um Zach's films really like reinvigorated for us in high school, and I know for me, like, I really got into a new era of like love for comics. And I remember it was one of those years, maybe right before I just had got a ton of them for my birthday. And so I just really like dove into, again, the rich history, especially of Batman. So again, around this time in 2016 is when Rebirth started. And that's when I was reading a lot of comics. And, why do I draw this point is basically that the new 52, in a lot of ways is analogous to the Snyderverse. And I know we were talking beforehand. We won't talk about the Snyderverse that much, and I think this is a good enough context to talk about it in.
No, I
And
agree.
because the Snyderverse is controversial, and it went to I think a darker and a much more mature place. Although not that Nolan's films aren't like that, they're just different. Zach heightened the scale. He brought in the supernatural element, the metahuman element to DCE characters on screen. Um, but anyway, again, the new 52 is very controversial, despite having, in my opinion, some of the highest highs in comic book character like history, especially for Batman himself. No one can dispute. I think that I think funnily enough too, the names are similar, is that Scott Snyder is the writer of the amazing New 52 Batman run with primarily Greg Capullo as the artist, and you have Zack Snyder doing the best cinematic run on these characters, in my opinion. Despite being controversial and introducing a lot of things that, again, people thought were not good for the characters and didn't fit the characters. Although I agree with some of that, and I disagree with more of it. But in terms of the Snyder films, obviously, even if some of it isn't what I would do myself if I were writing these characters, I think that it's brilliant and understands them, of course, on an essential level. And so, but now, what was I saying? Oh, that Rebirth was a reaction and a quote unquote correction by the publishing to a lot of things that people had a problem with in the new 52. And I think just as this new DCU will be for Snyder's run, the Superman saga that was going to take place. And so again, we're getting into this corrective era where it's like again, this reactionary thing to obviously what we've talked about before, baseless criticism of Zach's films, a complete, misunderstanding of these films on all levels, just because people can't handle it. So
Yeah, can't comprehend it, and now we're going to be
no.
getting more so a popcorn fest. Where
Right. And so that was the exact point that I was getting to. So I know I was talking for a while.
no,
So
no, you're
you
good. It's
you
just
lead us into it. Lead us into it.
right, right. So now we just got about a week ago, we got the James Gunn's full slate. Well, not full slate, but chapter one titled Gods and Monsters for this new season.
They fucking stole what was going to be our season 2 arc for the Pantheon. That was the title.
It is
I
what
don't
it
know
is.
how he got that, but of course we have to change it. Anyway,
Right. But regardless, we are getting into a new era of DC, and this is the year where it all begins, where we are getting the last two films within the DCEU, which is Shazam and The Flash. Where in
yeah.
Shazam, it is there was like I think it was a Japanese international spot where you see Wonder Woman in a trailer, so she's going to be in that movie,
Yes, I saw that.
and then you're going to see, of course, Ben Affleck's Batman in The Flash.
Correct.
Which we are
And do
getting
you
a.
think still he will be an Aquaman or no?
I say no.
I unfortunately kind of agree.
Even
Anyway.
though yeah, I remember how hype it was when we saw that Momoa posting with Ben,
Ah,
clearly dressed up in
the
bat fly.
suit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but it is what it is.
it is what it is.
But there's this timeline now, basically how after the Flash, that's where the universe changes. So however that movie ends is how the DCU begins. But we're still going to be getting Blue Beetle as well as Aquaman 2 later this year. So somehow
Blue
Aquaman,
Beetle's this year.
yes,
Okay, nice,
that
nice. I
comes
was
out.
always into that movie. I was interested.
Yeah, and
I
that
like
comes
Blue
out.
Beetle a lot.
Yeah, I do too, and I like the actor who's playing him. Uh,
Agreed.
he's in one of my favorite shows currently on television, Cobra Kai. Um,
Nice.
but then we're getting Aquaman 2, and I guess we're still going to have Momoa, even though this is supposed to be the new universe after the Flash. So I'm curious how they do that, especially when I'm pretty sure he's going to be Lobo now instead of Aquaman. But I guess
Yeah.
they'll explain that in some way. Maybe Aquaman is like during the film is where the universe changes, which would be interesting. I hope they don't do that, but we'll see.
Dude, I feel bad for Juan. I really
Oh,
do.
oh, truly, truly. Like his whole vision's getting like ripped apart, clear as day.
Yeah, yeah.
But what are you gonna do? But that's basically what we're getting this year. Then we have a decent hiatus because this is where we're getting more into like the full slate under James Gunn. Because all of these things were made under the previous leadership. Um, but of course,
Right.
they're going to touch things up after Gunn and Safran have become the heads,
Mm-hmm.
which we will see through reshoots when we see these movies. Because what I'm hearing with the Flash is that they're now going to make it so Keaton and the girl who plays Supergirl in that are just going to go to some other universe at the end, and then probably same Batman or Ben Affleck's Batman's going to and Ezra Miller's Flash are going to be staying in their Snyderverse or whatever universe they're going with. Could be the
And I guess The
Justice.
Rock is probably going to stay there.
Right, right.
But
So,
yeah,
but they're probably never going to touch these unless they eventually get the Crisis or they do Elseworld stuff. But who knows? But now we're going to be getting into the full slate. And apparently, the first project under James Gunn is going to be an animated series, which is like a pseudo prequel, I believe, to his Suicide Squad, where you have Weasel as well as Rick Flag Sr. I gotta remember what that's called. Hold on, I'm gonna pull up the
the
slate.
Creature Commandos.
Yes, Creature Commandos is what it's called. Again, it's an animated series, and it's probably gonna be a lot of poop humor, just like Peacekeeper, Peacemaker, and the Suicide Squad, James Gunn's
Yeah,
Suicide Squad.
yeah,
So
yeah,
whatever, it is what it is, and that goes into the next thing on the slate, which is a live action Amanda Waller series. So
yeah.
again, it's gonna make it so how Gunn's able to somehow keep what he made with Peacemaker and the Suicide Squad
Exactly, exactly.
fit into this universe. So we'll see where that goes. Of course, it's just Gunn wanting to keep whatever he made
2 points
viable.
about that. I'm looking just here. The only thing that seems vaguely promising is that the executive producer and creator of Doom Patrol, the show, which is actually really good. I've only seen a few episodes, but
I hear it's good.
it's incredible.
Yeah, I hear those shows are
He's
good.
the executive producer of this show.
What, Waller?
That's yes,
Oh, okay,
promising,
sure.
but Now an immediate negative. The writer, one of the writers of the Watchmen show, which I think is fan fiction garbage, is the writer of this show. So
Mm, gotcha,
the
gotcha.
positive and a negative. I'm not afraid to say that the show for Watchmen sucks.
And
Okay.
I have not watched it. I know a lot of people do enjoy it.
I haven't finished it. I've only seen some of it, but it is not good.
Okay. But again, I know, well, with all this new stuff coming out, I know James Gunn canceled like Doom Patrol, Titans, and stuff of that nature. And I get the
I
air,
liked some of Titans too. I only watched a little bit of it. I thought it was decent.
yeah, and I hear a lot of people like that show. And then of course the Arrowverse, all of it's probably is coming to an end with this last Flash season, so that's all out the window as well.
Yeah,
So they're going full clean slate with basically everything except for some reason Superman and Lois. Um,
it's popular.
yeah, I mean, yeah, I hear it's pretty popular, but I don't quite understand it. So, like, the only things that are
They rip
continuing,
off Zach pretty blatantly with a lot of their shots. It's kind of funny.
really, huh,
Yeah,
intriguing. What do you know?
yeah.
Um, anyway, then here's the
He's rent free. He's rent free.
he's completely rent free. But now we're gonna get into the first movie of this slate because I mean, again, we don't have to talk too much about these series because we don't know too much about them as it stands. Uh, but we are getting a Superman movie titled Superman Legacy, written by James Gunn, and it's looking pretty clear that it's going to be directed by James Gunn. So, Bradley, what are your thoughts on this Superman film?
This
That's
one's
all.
also actually kind of. I mean, there's good and bad, obviously.
Sure.
The only little bit of good is I would say that they're basing it off of. He claims to be basing it off of All-Star Superman,
Yeah.
by Grant Morrison and Frank Quitely. And so that's a brilliant comic book. So I'm happy that that's somehow the basis. Now, obviously, we know the reality of the caliber of writing that this man is capable of, and it's not high at all. It's not very high. It's very low, in fact. It's very, very low. It's really a shame that characters as important and epic as Superman has fallen into such such unworthy hands. So I don't think it's going to be good. It's going to probably have some fairly decent looking fight scenes and stuff
Oh yeah. I
that will
mean,
probably be cool for us just as comic book fans, lovers of the character. It'll probably be again, some of these sequences will probably be cool to look at and just be like, nice, that looks like a comic book action scene, okay. But it's just, even down to the very way it's shot, is just not going to be the same as someone like Nolan or Zach. And it's just, whatever. I'm not, there's not any sort of excitement. I just, again, we talked about this briefly beforehand, just about how it's about the characters. So, I love Superman. So, I mean, I'll probably watch it at some point, but it's not, its quality level is, I'm not expecting much.
sure. And again, there's not much we can talk about other than it being based on a very popular Superman run, and as well as it's written and directed by James Gunn. So I say until we get at least casting, because I'm curious who the new Superman's going to be, because obviously Henry Cavill's gone.
Yeah.
Rip. But yeah,
One interesting note, if I can add,
go for it.
it says here that the thing that I have for like the list, that interestingly, again, of all the stuff we could keep producing, the J.J. Abrams thing with the writer of a more modern Black Panther run,
Okay.
hopefully connected to Michael B. Jordan about the Black Superman,
Right.
um, is still in development. Now, I will be interested in that movie if it does this. If it acknowledges that this is actually Earth 2 and the Superman that we are seeing is Val Zod, like the black Superman with like a blue suit and like a
Yeah.
white cape, and there's like a whole different, like the Justice League looks super cool in this universe. Like,
Oh, that
dude,
has potential.
if they do that, then I'm interested. But if it's just Clark Kent but Michael B. Jordan, then I'm so out.
I agree. Because I
I
mean,
hope they do the Elseworlds because I love that universe. It's awesome.
yeah, no, I would hope that's what they would do. Because I mean,
Yeah.
you're gonna have two Clark Kent Supermans running around, but where we're gonna be having two Bruce Waynes going on.
Yeah.
But you get rid of Henry Cavill as Superman to make this happen is pretty absurd.
Yeah, but again, as long as if they stay consistent with the comic book character and do like the new, especially the new 52 version of the Earth 2 Justice League, I think it'd be dope.
Right, I agree.
Potentially.
Yeah. Well,
So I,
let's
I
hope
don't know.
let's hope for that because I mean I agree that would be a dope thing to see brought to live action. But all right, I guess we can go on to the next thing.
Right.
The next thing on the slate would be Lanterns, the live action series, which will be based around Hal Jordan and John Stewart. And the description is them being like space cops. So I think it's supposed to be mostly taking place in space. So I like the concept of it.
Yeah.
So it's just based on how it's done, you know, and who's casted, obviously, who's attached to it, because I don't think there's anyone attached to write. I'm not too sure on that, but I don't believe there is. But of course, like this has been a thing that's been in production for a while, like development hell. Um, so yeah. I mean, again, there's not too much
Yeah.
to talk about other than I really like the Green Lanterns and just lanterns in general when it comes to the
Of
DC universe.
course.
It's one of
Of
my favorite
course.
things. Outside of Batman and Superman, it is my favorite thing. Green Lantern's one of my
Oh
favorite
wow.
superheroes.
Okay.
Um, but I really love Hal Jordan. So I hope they could actually do him justice as opposed to the only time we've seen him in live action, which is the Ryan Reynolds Green Lantern movie, which is not very good, but has good moments, I will say.
I agree. Yeah, I mean, it says here that they cited their inspiration as True Detective. So
Which
I
I
doubt
mean,
I
of
doubt it
course,
will be the quality of True Detective, but
no, but I mean, they say that with another thing we'll talk about later.
true. Oh, yes, good point.
So it's
Um
like you can say these things. It's just, are you going to live
is it
up
going to
to it?
be like that?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I would say the only thing for this, I hope they take inspiration from, like they're doing with several of these projects, Grant Morrison, and they do his most recent Green Lantern, his Green Lantern run with I can't believe I'm forgetting the um I can't believe I'm forgetting the artist, but and he's brilliant. Liam Sharp.
Yeah.
Liam Sharp, the goat, one of the goats. That is apparently a really good run that I've only read a few issues of, like here and there. So I haven't read it in full. And also they would be in good hands if they tried to follow Jeff Johns's massive Green Lantern story, that goes through like all of the Lantern Wars, goes to, Blackest Night with Necron and the Black Lanterns, and that affects the entire universe of DC, like all of the heroes. So hopefully that'd be cool if it's integrated and they lead to that several seasons in, and then that can become like a cinematic event as well. I doubt. I mean, hey, what you mentioned earlier, they could steal that, but I
Sure.
think it's pretty logical. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's fairly obvious that you would do that if you're gonna make it like if you're planning ahead.
Sure. And
So
again,
again, and what we've said about all of these projects, I'm sure you can agree, is it just depends on if it's good. It's all execution.
sure. Yeah. Agreed. Because I mean, obviously, like you have the source material, which is great.
But
Um,
they never fucking use it.
right. That is true. They try to do their own spin on things too much, and that's just not the essence of it. Because why not go to what's been successful for years? But anyway, just the idea of John Stewart and Hal Jordan going through space as like cops is intriguing to me. But again, time will tell.
Yes,
So I guess we can go on
agreed.
to the next project, which
Yeah.
is the Authority. And none of these before
Mm.
before we get talking about the Authority, nothing but the Superman movie has a release date, but this is just the timeline as it seems at the moment. But yeah. But yeah, Brad, talk about the Authority. Why don't you?
Okay, so I must preface that I don't know too much, but
I will say the same. I don't know much at all. So
I am a comic head, but the only thing that I really know, I've basically skimmed the comics for the art. I've read through a lot of it because it's drawn by Frank Whiteley, and who also did All-Star Superman, and who did Brave and the Bold, and who did this. Also, Grant Morrison did all of those.
so obviously Gunn has his inspiration for what he's trying.
Which again, the problem is he just sucks. The inspiration is fine, but he sucks. So, but the Authority is very cool, and it started as, you know, the Wildstorm thing. So it was a separate universe under a separate publisher that was eventually brought in by DC, which they've done in the past, which I think is cool. I mean, for example, Captain Marvel was a character like that in the very beginning. But the most that I know is like the Superman like allegory. His name, oh, I forgot his name, but it's something like Apollo or something.
Right. Yeah.
You know, and then you have Midnighter, who's like the Batman of that universe, but more of like he's more like, obviously you can tell by his look, he's more of like a brawler and stuff.
He has a cool design.
No yeah, doubt. They all look cool. And you have someone that looks like Angel. And then you have someone that's like a robot or like made out of like liquid metal or something. And
no, it's intriguing, no doubt.
It is, and the art is absolutely incredible. So yeah, I don't know. I have to actually read it.
Yeah.
Again, I've skimmed through them all, and I love the artwork, but I need to, I guess, read it. Right. But I always thought it was cool, and it's one of those things where it's different enough visually. It's very visually distinct that it's a shame that something so cool is now going to be, again, like under the control of someone like Gunn.
Sure. But and that's what my point's gonna go into, because again, I don't know too much about this property.
I just wish it was under the control of someone who is like a legitimately like good filmmaker.
Right. But again, we don't know if he's making it. He could potentially be the Feige role.
Yeah.
I have a feeling he might do it though, because he might try to be like, oh, I did this with Guardians of the Galaxy. I can do it with another kind of like unknown property.
I see that.
And he can make these characters more jokey and fun, like be like that type of Justice League of some sort. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's just kind of where I could see it going towards, where it's going to become more like a Guardians type deal, that he thinks he can strike lightning twice, you know, in the same spot.
Mm-hmm.
So again, time will tell. I can't talk too much more on it based on the fact I don't know a whole bunch about it.
Yeah.
But, okay, so at this point we only have two films within the the James Gunn universe.
Freudian slip.
Yeah, that was exactly. So now we're getting to another live action TV show, which we're having three at this point, and that will be Paradise Lost, which I am under the impression it's about basically before Diana's born, and it's about, you know, the Amazons and like politics and stuff like that. And they're like what you said, a true detective with lanterns. Apparently their comp that they're going to be working with is Game of Thrones. But again, you can say that, but
which is such a terrible reference point too.
Yeah.
Good God. Good God.
Maybe at least just say A Song of Ice and Fire. So it's,
or like, why not say House of the Dragon?
Yeah, at least say House of the Dragon, right?
Yikes.
But again, I don't think there's that much to talk about other than the fact that this is going to be on Themyscira, and it's going to be about like it's going to end with the birth of Diana Prince, basically.
The creation.
Right, the creation. So I mean, that'll be cool to see, because that way you get like basically a elongated version of her origin, but not her origin, but like her birth, which is cool. So
yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see where that goes. But now we have an interesting film, which is next on the slate. Batman, the Brave and the Bold.
Yeah.
So now I will say this has potential. Again, I pray Gunn doesn't like just put he's going to have so much creative control with this universe. So So it's hard to even say that I hope he doesn't have that much control over this. But he's going to. He's already has picked out that it's going to be Damian Wayne as the Robin to this,
Cool.
which is cool. Um, and how this is actually, I like the idea of this movie. Like, so this is where I kind of trust Gunn at
Wait a
least.
second. Wait a second. But let me just point out, I don't want to hear any of these fucking people talk about like we need like 8 origin movies. It's too soon to have all this because is there gonna be all this buildup of like explain Talia, explain now that he's like a where's all the backstory? Where's Batman? He's now on his 4th Robin. That's too late. Where's the beginning? So I don't want to hear all of
It's
that was
just so you can speed up
nonsense.
the process. It's not like you don't have to show everything. Like in this
But
movie,
my point is that they
no, no, I
it's the fucking hypocrisy of saying that
right.
about Ben.
Snyderverse. Yeah, like they said all that about Snyderverse. I was like, oh, they're already doing the Justice League. It's like it's fine. You can do it. We know what the Justice League is.
Yes.
Um, it doesn't have to be Marvel. So I respect him going like Gunn deciding to be like, oh, he's on Damian Wayne already, and it's gonna be his 4th Robin. So my idea with it, which I really enjoy, um, is that he can just be introduced to the rest of the Bat family within the movie, and
That's fine.
that's where you can get to know everyone too. So then they're all in the universe. So we'll see. I'm curious who they decide to play Batman because again, we're gonna have Robert Pattinson playing Batman during this time as well. So I guess we'll see.
Yeah. I mean, in my opinion, I don't I truly don't know who it could be besides Ben. Like the only other person is really John Hamm,
But he's a little old at this
but
point.
he's a little old too. So it's like I don't know. I don't have an answer.
I only have like one choice, and this is off like the top of my head.
Who?
I mean, this isn't going to be like an old Batman, but an older Batman if he has a son. That is Damian Wayne. But I like Jensen Ackles. He has actually voiced Batman in some animation. I think he
I
could,
think he's a little small.
but he can get bigger.
No, height wise.
Sure, sure. But I mean, again,
How tall is he?
I don't know his height by heart, Bradley. But
Oh, that's fair. I'm
uh,
just saying, I in my head he's a little small.
he's kind of a shorter guy. But I mean, he's usually paired up with like a very tall guy most of the time. So, but
I'm looking this up, but keep
again,
going.
you can always, make it look like he's bigger than he is, like in the suit or like from shots, So I think he has a
Oh,
good
okay.
voice.
No, he's 6 feet.
Yeah. So I mean, that's good.
Okay, okay, I'm chill with that. I in my head, man, you're right about the other guy being way
Yeah,
taller
because I mean, obviously he's paired with
in Supernatural. Yeah,
and that guy's huge. He's like
yeah,
six
yeah.
four. So
Okay, so I think in the boots and the cowl, he'd be pretty tall. He'd be pretty imposing.
and he's the only guy I really like because I know he really likes the material. Like he's
Of
voiced.
course. No, I know he's into it. He loves Red Hood.
Yeah, well, he's voiced Red Hood and he has voiced Batman in animated projects, and I think he has the voice
Nice.
for it for sure, and he has the look at the same time. So that's the only guy I would really
Okay,
want. But again, I think
I can see that.
Gunn might really go like with a lot of no names for these characters, which is fine. But we will see.
Just depends. Just depends.
All right. So next
I mean,
up,
I hope I don't know. Batman's my number one. I just and I'm a very limited Bat family guy. I don't like when it's too big.
I
It
agree.
just doesn't feel like Batman to me.
I agree. I agree with you.
And the other thing that concerns me deeply is that he's saying that Tom King, his run on Batman, is also inspiring this, which is garbage.
Mhm.
Garbage, bro. That dude sucks. Okay? It's bad. It's so bad. I'm talking the worst. It's like the soap opera like level shit of comics. It's bad. The only thing decent that he's written is Mr. Miracle, and even that was not. I didn't love it, but it was good. And then the next thing, the Supergirl project, he wrote that comic book, which is apparently way more consistent, and the artwork is incredible. So I don't know. His Batman stuff is very bad to me. So I'm just that's concerning.
Yeah, I mean, of course, we'll go deeper into almost any one of these projects when we have more information, but this is,
Absolutely.
initial reactions and what we think.
Yeah.
But on to the next one, which actually one I'm decently excited for because I enjoy this character, Booster Gold. The idea this man in the future uses tech to go to the past to be, he's an actor as well, but he
Yeah.
portrays himself to be this superhero, so it's really cool. And it
And
has
he genuinely like wants to be like a person that's loved.
like yeah, he's not like an anti-hero or anything. He wants to do good. So
No, he's awesome.
yeah. So I'm intrigued by this.
He's just like a goofball.
Yeah, he's just a goofball, and like I like that, and I think it'll be a fun series, especially if you bring Blue Beetle into it. Uh,
Yes.
yeah, again, it's all based on casting and stuff like that, which we know nothing. We don't know what it's officially based on, but I think the main gist is like just Booster Gold, like this time traveler superhero thing. So I'm intrigued by it. I hope it's good. I hope they get some good people to work on it, but that's all I really have to say about it because again, we don't know much.
Yeah, I just hope they I don't claim to be like a Booster Gold like person. Like I don't know a lot about him, but I really love, at least in my head, like the version that exists, like his vibe and
Right,
like that the man out of time feeling, and like he really is like trying to live up to the people that he like literally is like he gets to like live among them, even though from his original timeline they're all like legends and
right.
that type of thing. Like I think he's a cool
Cool.
character. So
Yeah, I agree. A
yeah,
good character, as long as it's adapted well, I'm going to be happy about this for
I
sure.
hope, man. I just
Yeah,
with everything, it's just like I have just this kind of like deflated feeling. It's
that's
just
just when I
not.
see it, and if it's good, then I'll admit it's good. That's all.
Yeah, I've always said that, and I think the biggest thing for that with me is like Star Wars, where it's like, I'm sorry, we talk about this in our own circles, where like, if one of the properties is good, it just is. Like I can't
Right.
help it. So I feel the same way about this. If it turns out to be good because I love the characters,
So be it.
then so be it. I'll have something else to like.
Right.
But again, I'm not holding my breath.
All right. Then we have two more movies left on the slate of Chapter One, and we have Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow,
Yeah,
on this list. So we're getting a Supergirl movie and a Superman movie within this Chapter One, which is intriguing. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's based on a pretty popular comic, or at least not super, like not hugely popular, but I know people have heard of this Woman of Tomorrow, and I haven't read it personally, but
my good friend Q, that I'd really like to, we should have him on the show as well because his knowledge is very deep. He brought the whole run, and he agrees with a lot of my stuff about Tom King, but he's the one that told me that like, no, this is actually like really good. Like I have someone vouch for it. Um, and so, hopefully I'm going to get the issues from him and I'm going to read it myself. So hopefully it is good. But I know the artist I follow, her name is Bilquis Everly, and she is phenomenal, and the artwork is spectacular
yeah, no,
from
I
what
mean,
I've seen.
based off the at least just the cover, because that's all I really seen.
Hmm.
Looks cool. So again, casting plays a role. Who's attached? So
Yeah, I hope that it is a different Supergirl than the Flash one.
I think it
Um,
will be. I think it'll be
just so
more.
we get a
I think it'll
more
be
like,
classic.
yeah, a more classic and like traditional look, because I don't know if this is unpopular, but I didn't mind the design in that we saw leaked for the Flash or whatever.
No, it's fine. It's just not classic.
I thought it was a cool suit. It's just a cool like multiverse version to me. I didn't hate it.
Right. But yeah, and then I guess
Anyway,
we only have one more film to
yeah,
discuss a little bit. They're adapting Swamp Thing, and it is already heavily teased that James Mangold will be the director to it.
absolutely.
I think
This
he's done
is
fantastic work. This is one that has the most potential from like just from the initial knowledge. So again, Swamp Thing's cool. I hope Mango can go like a very horror route, but still be able to
yeah,
fit it into this universe, which could potentially be pretty goofy at the same time. Uh,
yeah.
so it'd be cool to see how they're able to mesh that together.
Yeah, and this is another one where my friend Q, and then our shout out to a mutual friend that we love, Mr. Sam Herbst, our boy.
Mhm.
He also has talked to me a lot about the Alan Moore run of Swamp Thing. So again, I hope that they pull from, because Alan Moore, of course, is I mean, potentially the GOAT of all comics,
Right.
with Watchmen, I would argue.
True.
Um, so, if they pay respect to how serious he takes Swamp Thing, I think this could be really good. But of course, Mangold, we'll see if Indy's not a total fucking stinker. I think it's going to be pretty bad, but not his fault because
Right.
of Kathleen Kennedy. But again, I hope that he can pull through for this one and give us something like Logan.
Yep. I couldn't agree more, my friend. But
Oh,
yeah,
and then of course, as an Elseworlds, the only one that I actually am still in for is the Batman 2,
I'm in
because
agreement.
as much as I didn't like the plot because of the script of the Batman, everything else I really enjoyed. So I'm there for it.
I agree. I'm excited for the Batman as well as Joker 2. Um, but yeah, Brad, I think that's going to do it here because we don't have much time. So might as well just close out here because we went through the whole slate. But
True, true.
well, thanks for listening, guys. Of course, we always love talking comics with y'all. Of course, I'm Schmook, and I'm here with my buddy Brad, and we will talk to you very soon about DC, Marvel, and anything comic book related coming in the near future. Talk to you guys very soon. Bye bye.
Peace out, Schmooky.
Peace out, buddy.